Good afternoon again, grade 2. This is Miss Desiree, and we are going to continue our literacy time again. Okay, so this time we are going to be understanding the points of view of an author. Okay, before we proceed, I would like to remind you what who are authors. They are the ones who write our books, our stories, and they are the one who created books for us to read. Okay, now this afternoon we are going to be talking about author's purpose and point of view. Yes, every book, every story, everything that an author writes has a purpose and it has their point of view. So what are our learning goals for today? We are learning to understand and identify the different purposes of text. It means something that is written. We need to understand what's the purpose of that writing. Then we are going also to distinguish between non-fiction and fiction. And we are going to understand how the author's point of view affects the text. What is the purpose? Did you know everything you read has a purpose? Yes, everything you read has a purpose. When an author writes something like book, magazine, textbook, newspaper article, he or she chooses his or her words for a purpose. So, an author just don't write anything without any purpose at all. So what is the purpose? The author's purpose is the main reason that he or she has for writing the selection or the story. And three main purposes of an author is to entertain, to inform, and to persuade. These three main things are what authors want their readers to understand and to know about their writing. What is the author's point of view? When an author writes to entertain, persuade, or inform, he or she will have his or her point of view on the subject. Now, what is a point of view, Ms. Desiree? Point of view is an author's opinion about the subject. So when you say point of view, it is what you think about a certain topic or a certain subject, what you feel. So it's not a fact, but it's the author's opinion or ideas. How does the author's purpose and author's point of view go together? The purpose and the point of view of an author goes together if they want the readers to see and to understand what is the things that they want to tell the readers. Example, it will let the readers know whether the author is for or against something. It means, are they in favor of something or they are against something? So we need to know what's the purpose of what we are reading. We need to recognize, we need to understand what we are reading. What does the author want us to know? What does the author want us to understand? And what does the author wants to get from what he or she had written? So the purpose will determine how you read a selection or a text. Now, example, we have these writing about food, eating healthy. Now, some selections have two purposes. On this writing or on this guide, this article, the two purposes are persuasive or trying to persuade the readers and informing them about the different types of food. Now, when you say persuade, it's trying to convince people to eat healthy and to eat good vegetable. Now, if the purpose is to inform, the author is trying to give facts, details, instructions, or it talks about the information of a place, it talks about real events, and it talks about people. Now, if the author's purpose is to persuade, the author will want you to believe in his or her position. Persuasive pieces are usually nonfiction. Although there are facts, it contains the author's opinions. With persuasive pieces, it is clear on the author's point of view whether he is for or against it. So when you say the author is trying to persuade the readers, he's trying to convince the readers to believe on his or her opinion. And the next one is, the next purpose is to entertain. If the author's purpose is to entertain, one goal maybe is to tell a story or to describe characters, places, or events. It can be real, it can be imaginary. So it can be fiction, it can be non-fiction. Example of entertaining texts includes play, poems, stories, jokes, or even comic strips. So those stories that we are using in our reading, or those stories that you read from Rus Kids, the purpose of the author is to entertain. And also there are also books in Rus Kids that author's purpose is to inform and to persuade. But mostly, since you are grade 2, mostly we are talking or we are reading to entertain, to be entertained. Okay, now let's have this one. Let's have this example. Determine the author's purpose of this label. Now use the information on the bottle to determine the author's purpose. Now what is the author's purpose of this bottle label? So it says here, children's pain and fever reducer for fast, safe relief of fever and or pain. And he gives here dosage information. Now, how much should be taken by the child and the time when this medicine should be taken. So is it to inform? Is it to entertain? Or is it to persuade readers? Okay, I'm going to help you with this. This is to inform the readers. The writer of the label here tries to inform the parents or the adults who is going to use this medicine for their children. Okay, let's have another one. Can you identify? Oh, yes, I am correct. The answer is to inform it because the label contains information and instructions on how to use the medicine. Now this one. I need you to listen carefully. His face appeared in the window. She knew he had been the cause of her waking at 3 a.m. Was she seeing things? Was his face real? She tried to lie still and decide what to do. Just then, the window shattered. She flew across the room to the hallway and straight into her mother's room. Okay, let's find out what's the purpose of the author on this article or on this writing. Is it to inform? Is it to entertain? Or is it to persuade? The correct answer is to entertain. The author tried to capture the suspenseful mood in the story. The story is probably fiction. So, the story is quite scary, right? So, it is capturing the reader's suspenseful mood. Okay? Now, I think that's all for this afternoon. We are going to continue discussing about this on our next literacy time. For now, that's all for today. Have a good day, everyone. Ma'asalama.